So today I wanted to react to this video called Men's Right versus Feminism. Is Toxic Masculinity Real? This is Middle Ground by Jubilee. I want to react to this because I'm just curious what each side is going to say. I do have some opinion regarding both sides, and this is just a fun video. So I enjoy watching stuff like this. So let's react to it and see what's going to happen.
Step forward if this statement is true for you.
I believe men and women are different but equal.
I believe men are different but equal. No, this is not true at all. Simply because there's certain double standards that benefit women and there's certain double standards that benefit men. Although, I mean, I can see the argument of how you're equal, but overall I would say men are different and women are different, and overall there's no like equality. For example, like a double standard I can think about is like leadership roles. Like men fit in with leadership role a lot easier than women. Like I guess disrespect that is, towards women, especially in those leadership roles. But there's also other things that women benefit from. For example, women are treated a lot more nicer, and they get a lot more empathy when it comes to certain things. So I guess my personal opinion on it is that like because there's certain like biases between both men and women, they can't really be equal. But I'm curious what they gonna say.
I know as a woman that I don't have the same physical strengths. Men and women are built differently. I think whenever things are built differently, it's for a reason, right? But at the same time, the amount of limits that have been put on women historically, like the fact that not too long ago we were just allowed to like start voting. Even today, like the wage gap, just all types of stuff. Like women just don't have a lot of rights that are.
Isn't the wage gap like not real? I'm pretty sure it's been debunked like a billion times. It's like there is a wage gap. Like men do get paid more, but there's a lot of reason behind it. But people don't usually talk about that. It's annoying because it's like, yeah, men do get paid more, but why? Why do they get paid more? Is it because they're men, or are there other factors behind it? People don't talk about those, and it's just annoying. I hate when I hear people say that.
It should have nothing to do with what gender we are to be able to be paid equally or just be treated with respect. So, yeah.
I do believe that, of course, there are biological differences between men and women. And of course, there should also be legal equality. Of course, I disagree with the idea that women face systemic discrimination. You just mentioned the wage gap, which has been debunked so many times.
Oh, he said it.
I've studied evolutionary biology quite a bit. And men and women are...
Bro, this guy looks like a gamer that sits in his basement all day. What is he gonna say?
very different from not just a physical, the bone structure, the neurological department as well as the chemical balances. And also, I don't believe that men and women are equal under the law either, or they should be rather. Children are not equal under the law. And it's not because we hate children, it's because we love them.
Yo, why is she... Oh my god, dude, she hates men. Dude, just look at her eyes. Oh my god, dude, she's so mad.
If you believe we're not equal, then that you're inferring that one would be greater than the other.
Well, so let me
so that's what
chime in
I'm
with my
trying to-
perspective.
yeah.
As far as not being equal, I don't think that necessarily means inferior or superior. When it comes to certain things like roles like childbearing, a woman is going to be far more productive and a lot more nurturing than, say, a man. And when it comes to doing a lot more of the heavy lifting and the work, a man is probably going to be more suited for that role. And I don't think that makes them any better or worse. We are just built, created, and born different.
I would also like to elaborate. I am not saying that they are worse overall or better overall.
They complement
like
each other.
Like he said, yeah, they do.
They complement each other beautifully.
They work very well together.
Yo,
we need each other for working in that.
She's so mad. I don't get why though. I want her to talk and give her opinion on this.
Offspring. I mean, that's part of the beauty of it. And I think trying to equalize them and make them the same and, transition and all that, I don't believe is going to be the most conducive when it comes to raising children, but also just for overall well-being.
I want to note that you brought up children being unequal to adults. I just hope you weren't comparing women to children.
I mean, it was technically a comparison of women
Okay,
and children.
I don't need you to
suppose.
protect me. I just need you not to harm me. I can protect myself. I'm very capable of doing what I need to do.
Whoa, man! I don't know if there's gonna be a middle ground, cause like, I don't like this guy's kind of like a jerk. Like I feel like he's saying stuff to get under their skin. You know, he's saying words that's gonna trigger these girls. But at the same time, these girls are just so like tense up and like ready to to just say something. They're mad already, and they haven't even done anything crazy.
An incel or an incel advocate, I suppose. I don't hate
I
women
knew
at
it.
all.
I knew it. Just look at this guy. He's in the incel from. Just look at him.
I think we're different, and they have aspects that are superior to men as well. It's just very contextual on the subject.
Toxic masculinity is real.
If these guys don't, this is something that I hear a lot of men say. It's not, dude. If you're a dude and you do not believe in toxic masculinity, there's something wrong with you, because it's a real thing. It's a real thing. You can, let's put it this way, right? Let's look at someone like Andrew Tate, right? Let's look at one thing that he does a lot. The one thing that he does a lot is talk about how being gay is bad because it's not manly. It's gay, right? And he takes this to a point where he's just straight up hateful towards gay people. Like, he's calling them the F word and all that stuff. There is like a difference between masculine, as in you like you're a provider, you're a protector, you, I don't know, like you, just stuff like that, right? Like masculine stuff. And then there's like the Andrew Tate side of masculinity, where it's just extreme, where you are doing things that are not really conducive to a healthy relationship with you and the people around you, and especially women. Like, when I hear someone like Andrew Tate talk about what he means to be masculine, he's talking about having multiple wives. He's talking about how being gay is terrible and wrong, and calling gay people the F word. That's like, oh, he's talking about like working so hard to the point where you avoid living an actual life. Like, when he's talking about his work ethic, he's basically saying, well, I work 24 hours a day, you know, I don't really go to sleep, you know, I hate going out to party and having fun with people, I just like working and making money. That's, to me, is toxic masculinity. It's like you're just taking what being masculine is and you just like amping it up to like 1 billion. But I don't know, I wonder what they're gonna say to that, because I personally believe toxic masculinity is a thing.
I think that toxic masculinity is definitely a real thing. It's kind of just the idea of what masculinity should be, but it goes wrong a lot of the times, saying that violence, sex, power, being a controlling person makes you a man.
I see it in very unfortunate places, like when the young men or boys in my family, even from like toddler age, are told, you shouldn't be crying, boys don't cry.
Just put it this way, right? Let's say your dude, your boyfriend, right, is doing some work in the kitchen, barefooted, right? And then while he's walking, he stubs his toe on something, right? And he starts crying. That's gonna be a turnoff, right? Like, you don't want someone who's like overly sensitive and cries all the time, but you just want someone who can hold his shit, but at the same time know when to cry when it's appropriate, right? Like, if someone close to you passes away, if I don't know, if something significant happens in your life, for example, you get the job that you've been working on getting for your whole life, like you went to college and got a degree so you can get this job, and you finally get it and you're really excited and it makes you cry, right? There's a time and place for you to cry, but like if I step on a Lego as a dude and I start crying, bro, the girls are gonna look at me like, bro, what is wrong with you? If I get slapped while fighting someone and I start crying, they gotta look at me like, bro, what is wrong with you? So my argument to that is like, there's a time and place for it. It's just, I hate when women say it's like, if you're a dude and you don't cry, that's not healthy. It's like, there's a time and place for it.
When I'm in a bookstore and a guy who tries to get my number says, "Why y'all always gotta act like that?" And he sincerely had this like cracking voice, like he was hurt, but it was an entitlement. And that's toxic masculinity. It's saying like, you don't realize how your behavior is harmful.
What does toxic masculinity mean? Is it character traits? Is it upbringing?
The suppression of feeling for a lot of men, because throughout childhood, they're told man up. So because of that, there's a lot of repression. Repression then is usually channeled into anger for some people because they not always know how to express because they were told not to express.
So upbringing and
That's part of
environment.
it,
Okay.
yes.
But not something that's inherently a part of,
No.
of men.
No.
Okay.
I think that, when you're showing your emotions, especially to like, random people, random women in some cases, they will view you as weak. I was raised by a single mother. I love her. She's my mom. I love her. But I could have used being told to act like a man. I think back, there were some cases where I was too emotional, and that negatively affected how I, what happened to me. And
May I ask a question?
Sure.
What is your definition of weak as a man?
Not being as forward as you could be, not being as honest, or trying to be not as emotional as you don't need to be. You don't have to.
What does it mean to be weak? I feel like, dude, I just hate the way they're answering these questions. Like, if I was there, I would say this: like, if you are dating someone and you're committed to someone, you should feel comfortable to be weak around them, right? Like, if I have a girlfriend and we'll be dating for months and I love her and I care for her and I know she cares for me and all that stuff, right? I should be comfortable enough to cry in front of her if something bad happens to me, right? I should be able to cry in front of her. But there's also, like I said before, there's a time and place for it. Like, I'm not gonna cry when I step on a Lego. So I think being weak is like just being vulnerable around the people you care about. That's what being weak is, and it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Cry over a cut. I know, sometimes cuts hurt a lot, but sometimes it's necessary to be strong for the benefit of not just yourself, but for the people around you. It's fine to act emotional in certain cases, but I don't think it's fine to act that way with a woman. Maybe you have a really good friend and he sees you cry, like he's your best friend, and you're crying about something really personal. I think that's fine.
I feel like you're conflating two different situations because you started off with saying a random person or even women. Yeah. So it feels like, okay, this is a woman that you don't have a bond with or any type of relationship with. And then you mentioned, or in front of your best friend. That's okay to cry. Well, that woman could be your best friend. That,
Man and woman can't be friends. The man and woman cannot be friends. I stand on that to the day I die. Man and woman cannot just be friends. Throughout my entire life, from what I've seen, whether it's like guys who are like in their 40s and women who are in their 40s, whether it's like dudes who are like in their late teens and like early 20s, I've never seen two people who are just friends of the opposite gender. Sometimes it could happen if there's certain things in place. There's certain situations where a friendship can occur, but if those situations are not in place, it's not gonna happen. And I will stand by that until the day I die.
So,
I don't think you can be friends with a woman. So.
Because you don't see us as equal, as you said before.
No.
I don't think showing emotions is a sign of weakness. I actually think it's a sign of strength. Men do live shorter lives, and that's because of a repression of emotions.
What?
And that's due to many things that patriarchy has instilled.
Repression of emotions.
It has been shown that a person's well-being, their lifespan is shortened when they are not able to express their emotions in addition.
Bro, there's also a study that says if you don't eat apples, you are more likely to die sooner. Like, what?
When they don't have physical touch or when they don't have a partner to keep them company. We are human beings here. We need to talk to each other. And if you think that our health isn't affected when you're not able to express that you are sad or upset, you're wrong. I think that men's rights activists are only men's rights activists as a response to women expressing that they want more equality. I don't think they focus on actual men's rights issues, and rather it's just an attack on women and feminism.
Wow, okay.
Today, women have more advantages than men.
These guys are gonna say.
I can speak from a hiring standpoint when it comes to things like affirmative action, and there are certain roles that traditionally men and women have been able to serve in, and now women can basically do all of those things, right? Because we've had such a strong advocacy for equal representation in the workplace, whereas, for example, you know, you'll never find a man as a midwife nurse, and I don't think it's appropriate. That's why there are those differences.
Women in like the most important parts of society have an advantage. There's a lot of positions that men simply aren't getting hired at anymore.
Name 3. This guy can't name 3 of those. Like that's why I hate this guy.
Because of
this guy is just using buzzwords. Okay, he's just using buzzwords, but he can't actually like define them or even give an example. Like, name 3 positions that women are getting hired for that men are not.
Know the fact that they're a man.
You can't.
And it's not just in the workforce, it's also, I would say, you know, it's a lot easier for a woman to find a relationship, even if she, you know, says it's finding the right guy is so hard. It really isn't. But sometimes for a lot of guys, finding a girl at all is hard.
What?
If I have to consider what I wear before stepping out the house, because I don't want to draw some type of attention. I don't know how many other men have to consider, is this outfit going to be deemed safe for me? Any situation that I've experienced where like I physically felt endangered simply because I don't want to give my number out. It's part of that entitlement for men.
This is gonna sound bad, but I feel like girls like her think they're the center of the world. 99% of the time, unless you're like at a gym or something, most men are not gonna even look at you because they don't care about you. It's not just men. In general, people in general, like someone like me, I could literally like walk past the same person for an entire year, but they will never notice me because people just don't care. Nowadays, people are just glued to their phone. They're just walking down like this with AirPods on. People don't genuinely care about how you, unless you dress in the most like wild outfit ever. Most guys are not gonna care about how a woman looks, you know, like unless you have like huge double D's and like a BBL or something. Like, most guys are not gonna care how you look. Most guys don't even pay attention to most girls, right? But I feel like for her, she feels as though like when she goes out, every guy is looking at her. Like every guy is looking at her like, oh my god, dude, like, oh my god, this kid. It's like, no. The only place that I can think of where men somewhat pay attention to women and what they're doing is at the gym. Because at the gym, people are wearing like tight ass clothing and like their figures are showing. I went to the gym with girls, and these girls will talk about other girls in the gym. They're like, oh my god, that girl has a fat ass or something like that. And I've been to the gym with guys and they say the same thing. So I like, unless you're like at places where you're wearing revealing or like, I guess attractive clothing, like I don't know, maybe if like you go to the beach and people are wearing like swimsuits and whatever, or if you go to the gym where people are wearing tight ass clothing or something like that. Those are the only places that I can think of where guys and girls are actually paying attention to the people around them and how they look. But if you're out in public, I promise you, no one cares about you. No one cares about how you dress. Nobody cares about the pants you're wearing, the shirts you're wearing. But I know people like her who feel as though people are watching her when in truth nobody's watching you. You're not famous. You're not Rihanna. Nobody's watching you.
You're not entitled a conversation with me. You're not entitled to my number.
That aside, it's like, are you gonna make one example of the entitlement of men when it comes to asking for your number be the all-encompassing thing that all men have a problem when it comes to approaching women?
Well, firstly, it's not just an example. It's not necessarily all men. I don't dislike men. I love sports. I play video games. I have bros. I hang out with dudes. We just want men to realize that if you have friends that are having locker room talk, as a man, as an ally, please say something to your friends.
Do you think repressing that is really the solution here, though? If it's in a healthy male space,
There's nothing
I don't think that's
about that.
healthy. I think it's
No, I'm
toxic
not-
in itself.
I mean, if you're making jokes and you're doing all of that.
Jokes that are harmful jokes are not healthy because they just lead to people normalizing things. People always say, oh, it's just a joke, but when someone else hears it, they don't realize how that resonates and again, how that turns into violence.
And dude, I don't want to sound like I'm an anti-feminist or anything like that. I just think like there are girls like her who have certain experiences and they take those experiences and they extrapolate them and they basically associate every other person they meet in their life with these experiences. 90% of the here's the thing, like I'm not like a ladies man, but I know enough women to say this. Most guys don't even try to hit on girls. I'm gonna be honest with you. Unless you out at a club, most guys are not even gonna try to approach women because most guys just don't know how to approach women. They're shy, they get scared, they don't want to look stupid. Most guys, the way they approach women is through the phone. They go on Tinder and they send a message, okay? And when they do, it's not often in this like weird, creepy, almost like, damn, but this guy might like kidnap me type of way. Like most guys will approach a girl, they'll be like, hey, you know, I thought you were really pretty. They're like shaking and shit. They're like, their voice is cracking. I thought you were really pretty. You know, I would like to get to know you. Can I get your number? And if they say no, the guy's like, damn, really? And then he moves out. That's usually how it goes. It's not in this like weird, creepy way where it's like a guy walks up to you and he's like, hey, oh man, let me get your number. And then the girl's like, no. And he's like, fuck you mean? No, you say you don't give me my number. Give me your number. And they start yelling. That's not what's happening. But I feel like these girls have went through an experience like that. And another thing to add, if I'm friends with guys who act like this, I just wouldn't be friends with them. And I think most guys are like that. Most guys are reasonable enough and smart enough to where they're not gonna let their friend act creepy like that. Like if I saw my friend yell at a girl because he didn't get her number, I'd be like, what's wrong with you, bro?
What's the alternative? Men shouldn't talk about these things.
No, I think
No
men
one's
can
ever
have a
said
healthy
that.
dialogue. I don't think men have to be toxic in order to have a conversation. I know plenty of men that are able to have conversations about healthy, productive things, just like women are.
Well, it's not obviously something that I have personal experience with, but only 1% of all people on the death row are women in this country. So when women and men commit identical crimes, women are much more likely to, for example, escape the death penalty. And that's
Really?
just plain sex-based discrimination.
That I agree on.
That's true. Look, I'm thinking about basic needs, like around the globe, the women who don't even have like proper like sanitary like products.
I
That's
mean,
true. That's
I
true.
have to agree. Just small things.
That's
like
true.
a tax on a box of tampons. Do you think I choose to do this monthly? No, trust me. So why should I have to pay taxes when this is a medical necessity?
True.
We're just like dismissed. A lot of our symptoms, a lot of the things we report, especially women of color, but women across the board, are just treated a lot less equally.
Yeah, I don't know why you have to pay.
I'd say that I'm
for
an advocate
tampons,
for what I believe the role that men play in society. I believe that their views should be expressed openly, that they should be given a platform to do so, and I believed in men unapologetically and unashamedly being men as we were created.
Okay.
I think in my heart that there are things that men are entitled to. I am all about human rights, and I do consider the rights of every human, but every time I hear of a men's rights activist, I hear anger and I hear very illogical reasoning.
She gets
and,
triggered.
It just boils my blood because it's a setback for all of us.
I feel that the other side does not understand my value.
No, it's just when you have feminists like these girls who are just like coming in angry and mad and have went through like I don't know what they've went through, but it seems as though they've went through some hardcore stuff because their view on men is just really bad. And then when you have like dudes like this, you have one incel. This guy should have just like thinks women are beneath him. He's smart. Just look at him, bro. He thinks he's right. This guy is okay though. I like this guy. This guy's cool. But when you have two sides with people like this, I don't think they're gonna agree with each other. I'm pretty sure all of them are gonna walk in. Yeah, they're gonna walk in.
I think a lot of times when a movement is created, the other side thinks that they're being attacked or think that it's some like attempt at erasure. That's not what feminism
Bro, yes, you are. Like, you. Oh my god.
is about.
Like, this girl just spent the last, like, I don't know, like 5 minutes talking about how men are, like, entitled to certain things, how they think men are, like, actually aggressive and, like, all that stuff. And, like, when you say stuff like this, what do you expect the other side to say? Like, when you say stuff like toxic masculinity is a thing, do you expect the other side to just stay quiet and not say anything? When you say stuff like, I think men are entitled to certain things from women, how do you expect the other side to react? Do you expect them to just sit quiet and say like, yes, you're right, yeah, you're right? It's like, no, bro. It's like, it's your views that are bad, and your views are making people react in a negative way, in a way that you don't want.
At all. What do you need a whole men's rights activism movement for? I'm sincerely confused.
Why do you need a woman's right? Like,
Well, I mean, like, I will advocate for positive masculinity and what men should represent and healthy outlets for men. Like, I still think the Boy Scouts should be exclusively the Boy Scouts, for example, one of those things. Where I would like to think that we could get some common ground is when it comes to the clear biases that are in the court system, especially in the marriage and family court system, right?
What? She's shaking
right
her
there
head?
is what I would advocate for when it comes to men's rights.
The things that stand valid, like that I'm hearing from y'all that are like valid to me, come from a place of like, I'm treated like unfairly by the system, versus a lot of the things women are saying. It's also
Socially.
America and the system as well, but a lot of it is like harm from men.
How and where?
Like, what do you mean?
How and where, what?
Where's this harm from men coming from?
Okay, it started when I was young. I'm not gonna talk too long. I was 16, got a bottle thrown at me because I told a boy no. It started when I was in a club. A boy touched me. I said no. He kept touching me. It got to the point he got violent. It gets to the point that the only reason why a man decided to stop touching me in the bookstore, I talked.
Hey, yo! See what I mean? It's like, I knew she went to some crazy stuff. And it's like experiences like those that they take and then they extrapolate and they associate with every other man. Most men, if they're in the club and they touch you and you tell them no, they're scared shitless because they could go to prison for that. You know, they could go to prison for that. So
Talked about earlier is because he realized my husband was not too far away, and he said sorry bro, never said sorry to me. That's why, and that's off the top of my head. This is why I get upset, because I'm like, I'm here to talk about like how you feel, but when you just dismiss the fact that women actually have experiences, that's when it seems like it's
nobody's dismissing that. It's like saying like murder is not a thing. It's like, well, you will be dumb. Like, everybody knows that women go through some bad stuff. If you go to the club, you're gonna have some random drunk dude who's being creepy. You know, like things like that happen. That's not what they're dismissing. What they're dismissing is the idea that because you have had those experiences, you now have to go and attack men and say that all men act like that, right? There are certain, and I was saying this before, but a lot of the problems that women face today are things that are ingrained within society, right? You can't just go on a podcast or like start a movement where you tell men how to act, how to be like men, because it's not gonna happen, right? It's not gonna happen. Like, you can't just. Here's the thing, right? You can't just go in society and say, as a man, stop doing A, B, and C. It's not gonna happen unless those things are like very reasonable. Like, if you tell a guy like stop committing murder or something, they're gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna stop doing it because I don't want to go to jail. But it's like there's certain things that are just ingrained within society, and there's certain things that are just inherent to men. There's certain things that men do because they're men, and you're not just gonna stop it. Like, I feel like one of those things is like catcalling, right? Like, men catcall, and I genuinely don't think you can stop many men from catcalling women. It's always gonna happen. She was talking about having like private conversation. Men will have private conversations where they're talking about women in a sexual manner. That's not something ever gonna stop. It's just not possible. And I personally don't think that's a bad thing. Just like, it doesn't. I know a lot of guys who have sexual conversation about women, and these guys are like normal. I know a lot of women who have sexual conversation about men, and these women are normal. It's just, there's some bad actors out there in the world, and I just think it's wrong for you to take those bad actors and associate them with all men. It's just a bad it's a bad look. Like, right now she looks crazy. And when this type of woman right here, this type of woman right here is what most people think of when they think of feminism is this, and this is a bad representation of it.
More than your rights. It seems like it's about your ego. And that's where I get
See what I mean?
because how dare you tell another human being that their experiences, what they're telling you right in front of your face is not valid.
I didn't say they were invalid. I said how and why. I'm trying to understand.
How and why? Because it happened. It happened many times. It happened yesterday. It happened the day before.
Okay, I think some of the things that you guys are touching on, such as the court system and gender roles, are a subject of patriarchy, and that's part of what women are trying to dismantle, is those traditional gender roles.
Are there any feminist organizations that have done anything, for example, to challenge bias against men and fathers in the family court system?
Absolutely.
Can you please give me a list of feminist advocacy organizations that have engaged in any meaningful advocacy to address those issues? Because there are actually none.
In what ways are men's rights at risk?
I think there has been significant progress over the last decade or so, especially in the legal field, but I think there are still significant disparities that need to be addressed, such as poor health conditions, bias against men in the criminal justice.
I would say it's like, it's kind of like, I haven't done enough research in this, but I would say stuff like government assistance. Men have a harder time of getting like government assistance, stuff like food share, or like government housing, and court, you know, like when it comes to like getting custody of a child. It's like stuff like that, but I don't know, but I haven't done enough research to really say for sure. So I'm just gonna put that out there and just.
The system, bias against men in family courts, and bias against men in the educational system, especially in colleges.
Men and women should be allies.
Why would they not? Okay.
Men, unfortunately, many of them don't want to even have this open dialogue that we're sharing right now.
It's because when you have a woman like
we need men to help be allies, to help speak to other men.
It strikes me like the way you phrase this, you almost want men to say certain things that you want them to say, as opposed to maybe actually listening.
Dude, I think that's the problem. It's like when you have a woman like this and a woman like this who are just so close-minded and not willing to even. She's talking about how men don't listen to what women say. She doesn't listen to what men say. Out of all these people sitting on this table, her right here and him are the two most likely people who are the most open-minded and willing to talk to each other. She's closed-minded. He's an incel who hates women. This guy just smug and he thinks he's better than women, and she's just mad for no reason. But these two can actually talk to each other and have a civil conversation. Her, she's gonna get pissed off and mad and start yelling. Same thing with her. This guy's just gonna start laughing at her. This guy's just gonna start dismissing everything they say because it's just, yeah. Having people like this represent, you know, man's right and feminism is not a good look, because I mean, she's just mad. Like, she has went through stuff that made her just hate men, and these guys are just like, this guy just hates women, I feel like, because he's an incel and he can't get any girls. So yeah, but this guy does have a point. It's like when they talk about dialogue, they just want men to say yes and obey and accept whatever they say and not counter argue
what they're saying.
What certain things would I want to
just
hear?
kind of like men being allies, men talking to other men, etc. I'm completely okay with that, but I'm not going to repeat like feminist talking points to other men.
We all believe different things. We may be under the label of men's rights activists, but for example, I'm probably the most traditionalist person here. I think we should be allies, but maybe us being allies in a patriarchy wouldn't be so bad. You know, us going back to the past wouldn't be so bad. It would probably be a lot happier if we were, you know, getting married and stuff.
Dude, her eyes, bro, it's like, you know what's funny is like this guy's just saying buzzwords. Like, he can't actually like explain any of the thoughts he has in his mind. He just knows buzzwords.
Getting married and having kids and, you know, going to church and all that, la-di-da-di-da.
While speaking to the three of you, I feel like you're each coming from different perspectives. So it's hard to, you know, again, just like our perspectives, it's hard to generalize. So to me, I feel like there are certain things that, even though we're not fully agreeing on it, things may get lost in translation, our verbiage may not be 100% correct, that we could at least agree on.
Can I ask one question? What would you envision would be the ideal man with the end goal of feminism as far as educating men or working to dismantle whatever patriarchy is? Like, what does that man look like?
It starts with childhood. We have to teach children as well as girls, because we're also taught, because of toxic masculinity, what a man should be as well.
I think that we just need to hold men accountable in order to kind of
Oh my god, it's like they're not. This is another frustration I have. It's like he asked a direct question. Okay, what is your ideal man, right? And these girls are just saying random stuff. It's like, what? Okay, I think we need to hold men accountable. It starts with childhood. It's like, okay, just tell me how this man looks like. Tell me what this man looks like.
progress, we need help from people that will listen, because let's be real, when we express our concerns, a lot of men refuse to listen, but they would be more likely to listen to another.
That is such like it doesn't that statement doesn't even make sense, bro. You are allowed to vote. You can go to work now. You can go to the club and dress like a whore and nobody will. Hey, dude, if men didn't listen and men didn't care about what you thought, you will still just be at home taking care of kids, and that will be it for you. But you have made progress. We have women CEOs now. We have women who own businesses now. Women can buy houses. They weren't able to do that. Now they can buy houses. Women can get licensed and drive. They can get passports. I can go on and name multiple things that have been given to women by men. And I know that sounds bad, right? It's like a man gave you this, you know, yada 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 yada. You should have just had it to begin with. But it's like these things that women have now came from men actually sitting down and listening to women, and listening to feminists, and understanding that we're wrong and we should treat you better. I just think that the problems that women face nowadays are things that are rooted within society and are things that are extremely, if not basically impossible to change. You are never gonna change the fact that men just don't want to cry all the time. You're never gonna change the fact that men are gonna cockcall women. You're never gonna change the fact that a man might look at your ass if you're walking by. These are things that are just kind of hard to change, right? You can try, you can, I don't know, you can try whatever you want, but I just find it hard. I mean, just look at today, right? Today, even today, like it's been like years since feminism started, and still to this day, there are a lot of stuff that are rooted within our society that are still hard and basically impossible to change about men. And yeah, like I don't know the answer to that. I just think there's certain things that just cannot be changed about men, and you just kind of have to live with it.
Another man.
Do you also feel like you have an ethical obligation to challenge other women or other feminists when, for example, they deny that men face discrimination?
When it comes to things like, oh, men can't be abused, I've had this conversation with another woman, and it's the idea that just because a man may be physically stronger than us does not mean they cannot be abused. And because of that, again, fairness, women need to be held accountable as well.
I like her.
I
like her.
For the other side.
I wonder what they mean.
I don't think there's ever a time in my life where a person says they're hurting and I don't at least try to listen or understand. My only thing is that I want the same in return. So when I'm genuinely saying I'm hurting or I've been through something, and it's not just a personal experience, because I actively do this work and surround myself with women saying I've been hurt by a man before. I get that you have stories, but I mean, that's actually my question. I haven't heard y'all stories. Like, I've sat up here and said I have 3 on the top of my head. I have about 30 plus probably, and I haven't heard y'all.
Well, they didn't come here to trauma dump us, but I don't know if they're gonna do it.
Say, this is what happened to me.
I don't think that I'll ever invalidate a woman's feelings when she says, hey, I've been abused or whatnot. I don't think any of us here are rightfully saying that.
Yeah.
But I think what's dangerous is when emotional testimony that may not always be what it is gets, creates bias, right?
Okay, I feel empathy
Oh my god, this
for
guy.
women being lost, being misguided. Look,
Oh, nah, this guy is good. This guy is good. He knows how to get on their nerves, bro. He knows how to get on their nerves. This guy is good. He knows how to get on their nerves.
I don't know. You can go.
Do you have any bit of empathy for anything we said up here?
Yes, I really do feel empathy for.
Why was that so hard to say? Like for the stuff that we said, do you have any bit of empathy for the stories I said?
Man, she's bad, dude. These two, him and her, I would love to see like them debate, cause dude, I don't know, it would end up in a fight. They would end up fighting because she's just like way too mad and emotional, and this guy is just like oblivious, and he's just saying buzzwords that get people triggered.
Hey,
Yeah,
I just want to know.
I do.
Like,
yes.
I'm not even trying to be hostile. I just genuinely want to know.
Yeah, I just think that
You're
like
being passive aggressive. What do you mean?
a lot of the problems that have happened in your life are because society is not patriarchal. It's not traditional. It's we're gone. We're lost. We're in a fallen state, right?
There is a change of guard, not necessarily a change of guard, but things are evolving, things are changing. And I feel like a lot of men speak from a viewpoint almost of fear. A lot of men are having a hard time grasping that and feeling comfortable with it.
No, most men feel comfortable about a lot of these. Like, men go to therapy now. That wasn't a thing in the past. Men go to therapy, they sit down, they talk about their emotion, and I feel like we've made major progress since the past. We've made major progress. It's just there's certain things you're just not gonna change about men. The idea of living in a society where men are so emotional that they're gonna cry when they step on a Lego, it's not gonna happen. The idea that you're gonna stop men from catcalling, it's just not gonna happen. The idea that you're gonna stop men from having private conversation about women in a sexual manner is just not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. And I feel like as though these are just things that are just inherent to men. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I personally don't see it as a bad thing, as long as you don't, like, for example, a guy can talk about a woman and how hot she is, but that's a lot different than what she's describing. Like, she's describing it as in, like, I don't know. It's like when she was talking about how men have like private conversations that are harmful and like they say jokes and whatever. She made it seem as though like these guys are saying something like wild stuff. Like, dude, you would never say this stuff in public. But it's like most guys, when they're having these private conversations, they're talking about like, I don't know, like Sini Sweetie and how hot she is. You know, they're like, dude, if I could, bro, I would. But it's never in like a weird, creepy way. But to her, in her mind, when men are having these private conversations about women, it's just in a weird, creepy, Epstein type of way.
I feel empathy for your personal experience, but I cannot sympathize with your ideological position.
Yeah.
Because that ideological position is built on a fallacy, and that fallacy is actually that's causing very real consequences for men as a class in this country. So I understand that you are here with us as kind of the good feminist.
See, this is a good way of putting it. It's like you can sympathize with the other side. You can understand the other side and what they stand for and the things they're looking for and what they want. But you don't have to accept everything. It's like the two political parties. Like, you can be a Democrat and understand what a Republican wants. You could be a Republican and understand what a Democrat wants. And you can find things that you both agree on and come in the middle. But you were never gonna fully agree with each other because the foundation of what you believe in is completely different. You have different foundations, so you're not gonna have the same ideology. You're not gonna end up thinking the exact same way, and that's fine. But the problem is like these two groups, because of the people that are in these two groups, it's kind of hard to come to a middle ground.
So to speak, that you feel
I just wish they picked different people.
Empathy for men, and I believe you, but I do not believe your movement, and I do not believe your ideology.
All right, we'll leave it at that. That's a wrap, guys.
Yay.
Are they gonna hug, talk?
I'm sweaty.
Okay.
You are very articulate.
Oh, thank
eloquent.
you.
So are you.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
are
Your
you.
stories.
Thanks for
really
your time.
appreciate.
Okay. Wow, that was interesting.
That was terrible, bro. Like, the people they picked on both sides were not good. That Asian guy and the black chick that was sitting in the middle, I think those two did a great job of being open-minded and willing to listen and have a conversation with the other side. Aside from those two, everybody else just came in with anger, and yeah. I just like that's how I see it. The other two girls were just mad. The other two guys just didn't care about the woman. So, but overall, that was a nice video.